Hello, you are. Welcome to the first episode of our new podcast, Overcast. I'm your host, Shiro, and I'm here with Link and Two Panda. Also, later we'll have Dat Soup Can joining us for the Ruby part. But for right now, we're going to just be talking about the Emerald teams, and I think we're going to start with Chicago because it's alphabetical order, right?
Yeah, you're very biased already off the bat.
I hate you. Okay, so I guess I will just say my team. So I obviously I have me, um, and I have my captain Doge. We wanted to bring back Chris with a K. I know Two Panda's pretty upset about that. I didn't know that he wanted I didn't know he was going to say he's going to join with you, but I just messaged him and he's like, "Yeah, I'll just join back." And then we liked I think it's Sus or Seuss. I still can't pronounce his name right. But we really liked him on support, and then we were looking into DPS or support players, and we thought that Vita Jackal was actually going to be pretty good because he was in the combines, and we liked how he played and kind of fit with our salary. So that's why I also moved over to support. So that's our team. I don't know if you guys want to
I
chime
mean,
in and
I was
discuss
impressed with
it.
the bearded jackal signing because he did look really, really good in the combines, especially for his salary. Like, I think that might be one of the steals of the season. Because I believe he was also a Call of Duty player. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, like, you have the aim mechanics, you put that on a DPS, like, you're just gonna kind of thrive.
Yeah, we'll
And
see.
and also Chris always was a solid tank and flex. And I mean, we got the flex of the season last year of Doge, I believe. Or was it Doge or Sage?
Um,
I think I voted for Doge. I don't
I'm
remember.
looking right now, but I don't remember. I
But
don't think
I remember I
I don't think
watched
so.
and Doge was in on a different hero every single map. So having that
Yeah,
type of flexibility is super super nice on your team.
yeah, having two tank and when they like in between maps, we talk about like, oh, I'm better on this map than on tank than on DPS, and then they're just like, okay, we'll just switch, and it's pretty nice. I think they work really well together, and um, bringing four people back, hopefully we'll have a lot more chemistry than last season, and hopefully our results are a lot better.
Yeah, and you're filling up your salary cap fairly high as well, which is always a good
Yeah,
perk.
yeah, I think we had 10 left, which is yeah, I was getting kind of scared because I was like, at first the salary was 1,000, and then I was like, oh, it's me, Doge, and Chris with a K, or I already said that they were going to join. It's like, we don't have that much salary left, and then we moved it up, and I'm like, okay, I can work with this.
And yeah, also I can confirm that Doge was not the flex of the season; it was Soup.
Okay, he got
That's
Rob
what I
though.
thought, yeah.
Check that.
Say it.
All
I'm
right, you want
brave
to move
enough.
over to Dallas?
Yeah, let's enough about Chicago. No offense, Shiro, but let's go
No,
into
you're
my
good.
team,
Yeah.
Dallas Vanguard. I started up with this team with the owner Ein back in season 1, but we've kept at least a core three throughout these past 3 seasons. Myself, Trex Panda, we have Andrew Ninja as our main tank, and Biscuit as one of our support players. That three has been here since season 1. We won the championship back then. Last season, we brought on Log, great support player. We really enjoyed playing with him, so obviously I had to pick him up again. With that, our other two players from last season decided to not play this season. Obviously, okay, but that leaves us with about 140 leftover salary, and I was panicking to find a second DPS. So reached out to some of my real life friends and cool individual, cool dude. He was able to go ahead and join our roster. Now he's never really played ranked up until about a week ago, so hopefully his skills will reflect more of his time played rather than his rank.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my first question. Just because I know you brought them in. I wasn't sure how much experience they had or like how confident you are. Especially them having to play DPS. Like,
Yeah,
a
they are
fairly
a DPS
impactful role.
main, but also DPS main on quick play only. So yeah.
Yeah, when you signed him, I was like, I don't even know this guy, and I looked at um the players who joined. And I was like, oh, he joined like 2 days ago. I was like, how did you find him?
Yeah,
But
real
yeah,
life friend, really cool guy.
yeah.
I've played with him occasionally throughout the past year, but like I said, only ever played quick play. I tried to convince him to play ranked a long time ago. He said no, that's stupid. It's too long. But now I was just
Yeah.
able to convince him by going on my knees and begging that I need someone to fill some slots, and he placed exactly where I needed him to. So
Yeah.
that works out for me.
It's always convenient when you get your friend to get the exact style you need. I also want to just mention, I think Andrew would be my favorite for like an early MVP candidate out of the entirety of Emerald, just because he was so close last year, like as a tank, and then he's pretty much the only remaining like heavy hitter, I would say, from last season who really like actually got some votes. So you would assume he would be in the front running for it, especially with how dominant he is sometimes on tanks. So it would be interesting to see if he's actually like gonna expand his hero pool and actually be as dominant as like the 270 salary he can be. But it'll depend on a bunch of other stuff too. Like again, supporting cast, like you can't do everything by yourself.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to have Andrew back on my team again. Having that peak 270, and as a tank player, nonetheless, having a strong tank for me has proved very fruitful in previous seasons.
I thought you almost lost him because in the beginning he was like Ruby Cell, and I was like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, yeah, like that's from the stats perspectives. We were going through like finding average and stuff where to split the two leagues, and 270 was on that cusp of
Yeah.
between Emerald and Ruby, and thankfully, like last minute, we pretty much put it so 280 is Ruby and up, 270 is
Yeah.
Emerald. So I'm super excited about that. I thought I was gonna lose him too.
Yeah. I mean, I would say your team is kind of like my team where I brought back 4 core players from previous seasons and then just bringing one new guy in. So I'm really excited to go against you because I kind of want a rematch
Oh
from
yeah,
last season because like
you
even though it was a 3-1, I think I still think it was very close
it
in my
felt really
opinion.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
I
one of
remember
the
panicking every
yeah,
single time.
that was one of the matches I actually had a lot of fun with. So, I'm really excited. I think we play last week of the season, so we'll see.
Ooh, when we're at our strongest,
Exactly.
hopefully. You still down to do that Torb Hammer 1v1?
I can't. I'm support.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
true.
Banter aside, let's move on to Kansas City because you're just talking about nonsense. So this is the first team that doesn't have representative on the stream, but I do want to say the vibes seem immaculate from that team already, and then the two really high sal who like players could potentially be Ruby on their main roles. I think they're like 10 sals, 10
They
salary
were
above. It's like
yeah,
10
they
or
were
20, so it's close enough where it's like, hey,
yeah.
we'll let him in. Keep it.
Mhm.
We'll keep watch. Just letting that known. But two really strong players with Nikki and Kamani, I assume being supports because I believe that's what they both play.
Yeah.
Nikki very very new to the game, so I'm excited to see her trajectory with it and how like actually being on a team is very like would help her development and how she grows into the season. And then Kamani was really good support, and Solus was a really really solid tank from Washington, but it's kind of a Ryan main, and like sometimes we get into a little bit of trouble with the limited hero pool. But
Mhm.
I think this team is really, really well put together, and got to give credit to Jarhead there.
Yeah. And also
Yeah.
to clarify a little bit what Lank was talking about earlier, they said they're like 10 to 20 sal above the Emerald thing. That's on the roles that they are not going to be playing within
Yeah.
this league. So they will only be playing their roles that are 270 and below.
Yeah. It all just depends. I think they're going to be a really strong team. They might, um, hang on to the number one position maybe throughout the season, but it all just depends on how well they gel together. Um, and that's just what I've noticed.
Yeah. And
From that
playing
team.
against Solus as a tank, he's a very scary tank.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I just look at this team though is I don't know who their second DPS player is because I assume Chunky is going to be one of the DPS.
Yeah.
But other than that,
definitely.
they don't have a standout. Hey, this is going to be of their flex players is going to be a DPS player.
I think it may be Kamani because she did play DPS because she was on Chicago last season, and she did play some DPS. I had her play some DPS, and she was actually really good.
Okay.
Yeah, she was one of the players that I was thinking I wanted to bring back to my team, but with the salaries and everything, it just didn't really work out. So, yeah, but yeah, I think she's going to be on DPS personally, but we'll see.
And then maxing out that salary cap, they're going to be
Oh yeah,
a heavy hitter.
yeah. You just need to have Chunky Monkey and Deathman carrying the team basically with their high sals.
So, let's move on to Los Angeles. This is a team where I think I need to look at the salaries because I think Janitor was a higher tank salary. I could be wrong.
He's a 210.
He is a 210? Okay. For some reason I thought he was higher. Because I believe he was the...
Was he the main tank for
he's
MCV?
No, he's the main tank for Utah, I believe.
Utah last
Oh,
season.
Utah.
And he did...
Okay.
I believe he won first team All-Star, so... Another guy I put in this conversation with Andrew, possible MVP candidate. And then backed up by two really good supports. The questions I would just say would be the DPS.
Yeah, I was gonna say aren't both Slim and Skyline new to the game, or just started playing ranked?
I think Skippy is new to the game. Skyline, I just don't think plays a lot of ranked.
Okay, yeah, that's because I think this would be a really strong team. It's just that I think Violet and Crystal are really good together on support. I think that might actually be the best support, or the best duo support out of any team in Emerald, personally, because they were on Utah together and played in the finals and whatnot.
I don't know. I've seen Crystal in ranked rants at the moment. Okay. She's not doing well. I think 1 and 6
ranked.
Right now.
That's ranked.
I mean, still
too.
But that mental.
Yeah, it just depends on the DPS on how they do.
That is true.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the final team, the
COD team.
The COD team, the self-dubbed Froggy Squad. It is the original team from season 1 of Emerald, I believe, for Houston.
Yeah, the old Houston Flames.
The old Houston Flames.
Yeah.
Reuniting of all people who really don't play this game. But I have seen they are actually playing more. I think there's potential there. But I think they're going to need to rely on week 3 through 5 to get their wins to get into the playoffs because at the start they're going to be significantly behind everyone else who actually plays the game, quite frankly.
Yeah. And we're talking about people getting close to salary caps, and that's how you know that they have a strong roster. All that doesn't always signify that for sure. Having 300 salary left over isn't really a good look to have. Having your strongest player be a 210 salary, whereas that's some teams' weakest player.
I will say, but the 210 is a cracked Valorant player and doesn't play a lot of Overwatch.
I'm cracked Valorant and I suck at this game.
Well,
so
yeah, but
that means anything.
Well, I think that's a you problem, but
whoa, you're right.
I think they they're all really good. I think. Again, they're all really good COD players. They kind of know FPSs inherently, so it's kind of just how much are they going to learn Overwatch and play.
Weren't they in finals first season?
They were in final season
First
1. Yeah,
season, it was Dallas versus Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in due time they'll get a lot better if they play a lot more. Because I mean, like, they know all each other, right? From COD.
they're all friends.
Yeah.
It's just a friend squad, pretty much.
Yeah, so they got the chemistry and everything. They just need to know the game more. And I think later, like, start of week 3 is when they're going to start looking dangerous.
Well,
So-
we'll see about that.
I think it is
Yeah.
just straight up time for power rankings, though.
And then who wants to go first?
I'm being a little biased towards myself. I feel like I built a very strong team here, and I'm gonna say that Dallas is gonna go on top.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath Dallas,
I actually would
go
disagree.
on, go on.
I think KCC is number 1 at the moment.
I did put KCC as well.
I think
That is fair.
I think I would put you guys if you guys didn't have a brand new player as a DPS.
Yeah.
I think that's your only detracting factor, and so it's like I'm not going to be making this as a personally as a end of season power rankings. This is like week 1 strength, and I think just while everyone is gelling, that will allow the 270s to really just kind of reign free and kind of thrive in the chaos and just outskill everyone.
I think they're going to be playing a lot of Ilari, not going to lie.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are going to be playing a lot of Alari.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I would say KCC for me. Like I said, I'm biased. I want Dallas on top. KCC is a close second.
I did put you 2, though.
I agree. I went with
I put Dallas
Dallas's too. I think just having that core return, you don't want to really argue against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
Just
think, yeah.
the DPS is just a big question, and especially like people in Ruby will argue the DPS is the weakest role in that type of rank setting. In Emerald, it is still one of the most dominant and can really just swing games entirely. To the point that having that hole could completely throw off your team. It just kind of depends who's picking up the slack and where.
Yeah.
So who did you guys have number 3?
Unanimous for Chicago in number 3?
I did put myself in 3rd. And I think that's unbiased.
This one I don't know. I think I put you guys 3rd as well. I think it's close between you and LA, giving away my 4th.
I put them 4th because of the DPS. Because I think they could be better than us if they are a lot better than we think. The DPS.
The DPS are just so unknown, and
that's why. Yeah, just why I put that down there.
Especially, but also with healers being strong, like the healing output being so high, they could just, in theory, never die. So the DPS wouldn't actually be the issue there. So definitely,
you just need to focus the Mercy.
Yeah,
the Mercy does nothing.
It's that's a very like people. You say
funny.
that. People just don't. I don't know why. It's infuriating to watch an Emerald, but the Mercy's just kind of good to live.
I tried a lot, but Violet's got good movement. I'm not gonna lie. I hate saying it. But she got good movement.
I respectfully disagree as someone who did coaching and did VOD watching of that. There was a lot of moments. There was a lot of moments where I was like,
hit her at all.
I think that just means you're bad.
Violet moving around so much and hiding behind walls that we can't go behind without getting slapped by a tank is good movement. So
yeah, so it was frustrating last season. I remember that series because that was a series we went to 6 map, and I would try to shoot Violet so they don't have heals, and then I turn around and then there's a Genji behind me, and then I get one shot, and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm taking the L.
It'll definitely be interesting to see who kind of rises to the top in terms of DPS, because I think that is like overall, I won't say the weakest, but like the most unknown position in Emerald at the moment. So it'll be nice to see. And then obviously we have Washington. All of us have them at 5. And
someone's got to be at the bottom.
Someone's got to be the bottom, and then just having the extra 300 salary. I know they like Icy was in the chat saying they made it to finals with 210 extra salary in season 1.
Yeah, and like I said, like it isn't really a telltale sign not maxing out your salary, but it's not exactly a good thing when you have that much left over.
Yeah, and also with like you're really banking on improvement. Which again, for better or worse, like I'm not saying they can't do it. It's just you are like we can't at the first week say you will be better than anything other than last, because you're just banking off the improvements, so you're not really showing anything. So I think week 1 will be telling, because I believe they play LAG, which like it's unfortunate that could be like the play-in match for them as the week 1. So see how they fare in it, but
yeah, I do want to point out that Violet wasn't in week 1 last season in Utah, so that was my mistake. Or sorry, Utah.
Yeah,
so that's my mistake.
MCV until like week
4,
so
like I made a mistake there. Just wanted to point that out.
I also just want to point out in chat, I'm honest.
Added me.
Yeah, I'm honest, and I will not put my love for War. They're number 1 in my heart for sure. Don't get me wrong.
I think this is why power rankings are kind of dumb, because it's like, they're last, but they have potential to do a lot.
And then also no one knows.
That we think.
No one truly knows at the end of the day.
Yeah, like we're at the start of the season. We haven't seen any of these players play yet.
Last season in the preseason ranking, or the preseason power rankings, Chicago was first, and we ended up being 4th. So
So I think that should be it for Emerald.
Yes.
And as we say that,
it's time for Ruby.
Well, as we say that, we will be saying goodbye to Panda.
Yes.
We bring in Datsukan.
Is Datsukan even here?
He's in definitely. Yeah, there he is. From Pittsburgh to talk about some Ruby teams. And again, we'll be going in alphabetical order, just so Jack, you're on the same page as us.
So we're going to be starting with Houston.
I feel like I should be the one to talk about it because I'm on that team.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's weird not to be on War, first off, but overall, I think this team is very strong. We may or may not be a little bit of a meme team at the moment. I won't allude to what we're actually going to do because it will not be as funny, but we got some stuff cooking. A meme. We got some stuff cooking. So
I already don't like the sound of that. We play you week 1, so that makes me extremely nervous.
Oh, you'll have some fun. Trust me. But we have the reigning MVP Baz, who was an absolute unit, and just I'm so glad I'm on his team because it was so not fun to just get bullied by him every single time we played. It was miserable. And then we got Ricochet also on that Pittsburgh team. I think he's going to be playing a lot of DPS because his support, I think, was too high. So we have Trash Can and Soup on support. So we're going to have a lot of Lucio, a lot of Reddit happening. So it's going to be a fun season for Houston. Whether we win a lot of games or not, yet to be known, but
I think as meme as you alluded to be, the biggest strength in my eyes that you guys have is your roster in the sense of, you guys are all great players. Like you said, Baz, as John Pork, dominated the league. We saw how good Ricochet and Trashcan were in their respective roles, even though Ricochet is off-rolling, and as are you, but we all know you're pretty sick of the game. It's that combination of all of your guys' heads together, right? Putting the greatest minds all together to just have this shot calling and ability to recognize the game and the flow of each fight. I think that is definitely guys' biggest strengths, even though I'm 100% now expecting like a Torb Hammer 1v1. coming out from one of you guys.
Can neither confirm nor deny that.
God
It
dang it.
It depends on other teams, so we will see.
All right, we're moving on to Mexico City.
Yeah, I think we can just kind of walk over this one
Skip
a
over
little
them?
bit. I mean, they have a
They
really
got
good
two.
base to
We
start
can talk
off.
about them though.
I mean, yeah, Rescue Toast is a very, very good support player. I believe he is on D2 of Rochester Institute of Technology's team. Very, very solid support. Like, if the joke with RIT is that they have too many support players, I believe in total they have 12 plus GM plus supports. So getting on that roster is incredibly impressive. So he is going to be a threat in terms of getting first team support, and kind of building your team around that in this type of meta could really work in their favor, but you just need to see the rest of the team.
I mean, when we look down at it, what options do they have left in terms of free agents, right? Like, you have your tank, you have your support. Like you talked about, building around Toast, what options do you see on that list that call out to you as like, yes, that's a great partner. That's what we want to see.
I mean, that is the question, because they really were the last ones to kind of figure this stuff out. I do know through the grapevine that they're trying to bring someone into the entry server. So there's one person that probably not on the free agent list at all at the moment getting on the team, and then
We're still doing entry.
What? Yeah, we're still doing.
We're still doing entry.
Yeah, we did switch. We did switch back.
Okay.
Because they changed the entry process for people who don't know. It is just the application. It's very quick, and it's not actually like orientation where you have to go and sit in the channel for an amount of time.
You still have to take a quiz.
No, you don't have to take a quiz.
Okay, that's my only question.
Yeah, it's literally just, hey, like, do you agree to the code of conduct? Are you over the age? And then what leagues do you want to be in, I think. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super simple, super streamlined. Want to get that PSA out there. But, so they're bringing in that. I don't know whether it's support, DPS, who knows. But there are some solid players out there. I know Boy Wonder, I think, wanted to play some DPS, but he has other roles that are really good. I believe his support and tank were also solid. So I don't obviously have a tank at the moment, but whether he gets it there on that roster and makes some improvement as a low style player could be good. I know Zerlin was saying that he would be willing to play. He was a support / DPS on Washington last year. Very, very solid player overall. So they do have options that I think can make it work. I think their need will just be of a solid DPS player, and they can make something pretty solid, honestly.
Isn't Danger Noodle still? Isn't she playing?
Danger Noodle is playing. I don't think they're planning to join MCV at the moment. From
Okay.
when we
I'm
talked,
just looking at the player list. And
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. And then JD is on strike, so he will not be joining that team, even though
no one
it
talks.
wouldn't really be.
No one talk about JD. He's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Yo.
I believe he was offered a spot as the reserve on Houston, but he has, I believe, denied. So.
I mean, after getting, promised 2 spots on 2 rosters and then getting denied on both of them, I can understand and agree that the man should be salty.
Okay, no, I disagree with that, because he still has a spot on Houston that he denied. So a little bit, yeah. I would disagree with that, but let's just carry on and move on, because we can go to Montreal and talk about their wonderful 4-man squad at the moment. As I guess I will continue.
I'm sorry.
They have the bold decision, I will say, of having 3 console players and a walrus. So
they're winning the whole thing.
Whether that pays off or not is yet to be seen. They do have room for 420, so they have GM3, I believe, or GM2.
GM2, yeah.
That they can grab. No, GM3. I think. Yeah, because 2 would be 430.
I wouldn't know.
So you pick up a GM3, which is a really good person to round out, especially on the DPS role, which I believe that's what they're looking for. So getting a high solid DPS would be really, really solid for them. Hopefully it's a PC player, not a console player. But I do think it is a solid one. I think Moto is a really slept on DPS player, at least from Emerald last season. He
killed me in
consoles.
1v1s.
His problem was he plays soldier and doesn't want to ult because he thinks he has a better aim than the auto aim.
Hey, he does.
So
I 1v1'd him, and I lost hard.
Yeah,
he's crazy.
He is very good. That's why I said he's slept on.
Exactly.
And he's a former war player. We have 2 former war players on that team, actually. But again, it will be a little bit of an uphill battle just being on console, and then having to play kind of full PC rosters, pretty much.
I mean, like, even with that console, you still have a backline that is very good. Like, a solid backline in Walrus and Gunna, I think, could take your console, and just push it to the limit. Obviously, like you said, they're looking for that last DPS spot, which going through the free agent list, you're definitely leaving some salary on the table if you're looking for that DPS spot, which is gonna hurt. But there definitely are some still options. We mentioned Danger Noodle, insane and cracked hit scan player. There are some options still on the table, which I think could fit really nicely into the roster.
I will also do the correction. It is Guna, not Gunna.
I am so sorry.
They are very stingy about that because most of the time we get it wrong. But going off your point, they do have 2 of the 4 all-star supports. So from last season, and building out from support, like especially in the meta right now, is very, very good. Like, it is, people will say, arguably the strongest role at the moment. I would disagree, but some people say so. I think they have a really solid roster. I think it really will depend on that 5th slot on who they get. But yeah, I see some good promise with the team.
I'm personally rooting for Montreal.
There's
Didn't they? Weren't they?
They gotta root for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, weren't they a team season 1 and then they got taken away?
Yes.
They just were inactive.
They were a team season 1. They were inactive, and they got in last season. I think they lost every game. So they're still looking for their first win in United Rogue.
Season 3 is the come up for Montreal, and I'm here for it.
They are the Shanghai Dragons.
They win everything.
Yes.
They are the Shanghai Dragons of United Rogue Overwatch.
Any stream that they're streamed on, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be their #1 fan. That's all I'm saying. But I also do like Houston because Trashkin was captain of Chicago last season, and gotta root for her team.
And now we will go to the runners-up of last season, Philadelphia Plague, going with another RIT roster, just with very different parts. Choco Man, probably the best DPS in the league at the moment, I would say. So very early MVP candidate for me. He's cracked. He's scary to play against, and can really just take over an entire game. Lord Stan is a support that I know is another solid one. I don't know too much about him personally, but obviously he's a very good player, and I've played with him a few times. Liam is actually a Grandmaster 1 support player that is moving to tank to fit into the salary system. But obviously with the GM support, you're going to have the game sense to be able to play the tank. And then he was also a Zen 1 trick for a while, so he has the mechanics to kind of really thrive in that role. Same with Foliage, he is off-rolling from DPS onto support, but again, DPS support kind of works together. You see some DPS in Overwatch League transition to support, especially on the aim-intensive heroes like Ana, and especially with Illari and a lot of damage-based supports in the meta right now. doing that might actually be a benefit to them. And then finally, they have Akashi from last season, the MVP of Emerald, getting promoted, seeing how he can fare against the Ruby players, which people were complaining so much that he should have been there last season. So I'm very interested to see how he'll fare.
It is very exciting to see Akashi sign to a roster, just because watching those Emerald games and watching just the absolute domination come through was great. So, like you said, it's going to be fun to see Akashi on this Philly roster. I fully did not realize that Foliage moved over to support. I thought Foliage was going to be DPS again, forgetting they got Choco. And so I was again, scared playing against them in the finals. Did a great job, but now taking that and then elevating it to putting it to where, you had Foliage, great player. Now you increase that by tenfold with Chocomane, and that makes you just scared. Like, that makes you fully need to sit down and look at every interaction a lot more carefully. And each team fight in each map is going to go a lot, more. I can't even think of the word. It's just going to be scarier because you have this huge power point in that DPS slot now.
Yeah, they're gonna be scary. I won't reveal where I have them on my power rankings, but especially like I go to school with some of these guys, so I know them very well. Very, very good Overwatch players, very good gamers overall. Definitely a team to be feared. Also, another team to be feared is the reigning champions of Ruby, the Pittsburgh Phantoms.
What do you mean reigning?
Right?
We won.
I
Yeah,
know,
won.
but like, isn't reigning mean that you've won every season?
No,
No, reigning just
Oh.
means current.
You.
Stupid, okay? Just keep going.
Okay, I have my thoughts about the
why I'm
roster,
here.
obviously. But I do want to hand it off to Jack, who is the captain, I guess, more a little bit GM too, with Bowser. Just kind of see how you feel about your roster and how you kind of comprised it.
I think, oh God, I think it was a week I cried that I saw Baz was not coming back. I cried, I wept, I was very upset, absolutely scared. But, that joke aside, we had a plan going into it of, this is kind of where we wanted to start. This is where we needed to fill the roster with that tank position. And having both Admon and then Minky, who, if you saw the grand finals last season, Minky put up an insane fight. I mean, it was blow after blow from both Baz and Minky on the tank role. Obviously, both teams were supporting in their own ways, but having solid options in either of those tanks is going to be great setup for them. I guess us. Sinisuke on support, again, another former Plague member that was in that finals match, did insanely well. And then the returning just best people of the team, being obviously myself, the best Watchpoint Gibraltar cart payload princess, and Recon, who his bat and his Ana, I've played with him. He's a very good buddy of mine. He's extremely good on those roles. I am very excited to be able to, now play with these players and see how much better I can be in terms of just my own play style, even though I am for sure the far and away worst player on this team because I'm not a DPS player. So, like, if you look at weak points, look towards me. Like, that's got to be it.
I'm glad you said it.
Someone had to.
Because, well, and nothing against Recon. I would say you two are the people to exploit, at least from an opposing point of view, looking at the roster.
Yeah.
Because I played with Minky on a Rochester team. He is a very, very commanding presence in the lobby. He's a very good shot caller too. That's something that we haven't really gotten to know the entire time, like while we're going through these rosters. But with personal experience, he's an amazing shot caller, and he can really command and just kind of keep everyone together. And I think that's why the Philly team, where it's like on paper I think they were probably not the second best team in the league. No offense to anyone, because I do love them all. They were just such a well-oiled unit. And I think that also really does stem from Mickey's shot calling and kind of having that tank that can be that presence and kind of control everyone. And then also, Adbon didn't play a lot of DPS last season, but when he did, he was a menace. And this man I've seen play Overwatch and just dominate on every single role he's been on. So, he's a very, very scary player. I think he really can just take over on the DPS role, especially like with DPS kind of being a weird spot other than like Joko, I would say. So he could really take over games and just kind of carry while Minky is also just harassing your backline. Very similar to Pittsburgh Season 1 with Baz harassing the backline and Frost kind of popping off.
It was honestly, that's kind of how we look to rebuild the team. Of just we're looking for a solid tank option and solid DPS option. To where obviously myself, we've said it. I'm not the best DPS. I have just the ideology of put me where we need to be so that way everybody else can win. But like you said, it's just about putting your tank or your DPS in a position to just get in the backline, harass, and find those moments. And I am curious to see who can then stand up to that. Obviously, Houston has an insane roster, so they're going to put up a fight. I know Philly's going to put up a great fight. I'm curious to see as, Montreal and Mexico City get finalized with their rosters. I'm very curious to see the players that then have to get put into that position to go against, the Pitt roster, go against the Houston roster, go against this Philly roster where they have to make those plays and those decisions. Where I look at my team and I'm chilling. I'm going to sit back and just have an easy carry just like last season.
Damn. That was beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Payload Princess has to be a good motivational speaker, obviously.
I am nothing if not charismatic.
So I think it's time for power rankings. I do want to look because apparently Mexico City might have a third player. So I want to look at that while we do power rankings because I believe we all think they will be fifth.
Yeah, so for Emerald, we went top down. I think it might be easiest, correct me if I'm wrong, to go from bottom up for this.
No, we went bottom. Oh, wait. Oh, no, we did go top down. I forgot about that. I have a brain of a goldfish.
Relatable content.
See, I don't know much about Ruby, but if I make a power ranking, I'm going to get roasted hard because I have no clue I'm saying, and then you guys be like, wait, why'd you put them one? You're stupid.
I mean, I think you can make a solid one. Okay.
An educated guess.
I do just want to find it is a damage player for Mexico City.
Okay.
It is a GM5 damage player who mainly plays Sojourn. This season has mainly played Sojourn or Season 6. So a solid pickup. Very.
But they're still going 5.
I think you still have to put them 5. I think there's a conversation now. Actually, part of me wants to put Montreal 5.
No, you can't. You can't.
You are physically insane.
You can't.
Because, hear me out.
Give them hope.
Hear me out. They don't have the good track record. They are the Shanghai Dragons of United Rogue Overwatch. And they have 3 console players without a DPS and without a really strong one in the pool at the moment. And so I think having the kind of core 3 that you want to build around of Toast, Juco, and your now new DPS player who is at least GM5. I think that really is a better base than what Montreal has, because again, you got to look at the actually GM4. My apologies. it's a better baseline, I think, to build around. Like, I would expect Mexico City to get those 2 extra pieces that would fit their team more than I think Montreal would get that extra piece.
So then, hypothetical, right? Booger Bear is looking at the agent list and going, all right, we need a just hard hitter, and says nothing is out there. What if they pull a Mexico City and just use all 420 left, get a GM too, and throw that in?
I mean,
I still think
go ahead.
that. Oh, sorry. I still think that having this backline of Juarez and Guna, said it right. I think that takes you places to where, yes, having this new random Sojourn player is a great trifecta, as you mentioned. I am still worried and curious. I think there's too many question marks around the fact that they don't have 2 players still. They have a third. It's a 5-man roster. I can see your points. I still am gonna say Mexico City in 5.
Yeah. Again, I'm not. I won't inherently disagree. My thing with that though is, it's the same thing with. I'm also going to calculate how much they have left, because I think Mexico City might only be able to get 2 280s, because they will be very strapped on salary. With their 2 extra.
That is true.
But the thing I want to mention is, it was a similar thing with Washington last season. As someone who made the team, I had a very good base, like 3 people to build around. So I felt very confident, and people can bash me all they want, but in the power rankings, I put ourselves above New York, and I think we technically could have been better than Philadelphia. We just never got to play them in the playoffs. So and not necessarily having a roster at the start means that it's a better team, and I just like the pieces that they have around it at the moment a little bit more.
That's fair.
And it is confirmed that they would need 2 280s. You're a little bit quiet.
All right.
I need you to break the tie.
I think me. Obviously, I'm putting Mexico City last.
Okay, that's fair. I can
just because just because Koi's the GM, just because of that. He's been badgering me all day today. He's getting 5th.
Okay, so I do think we can come to a consensus now of Mexico City 5th, Montreal 4th.
Oh, also because Moto is just the GOAT.
Moto is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Very fair.
But can we agree to that? Those placings? And kind of move on to. Because I
Yes.
think this is where it gets really spicy.
The conversation starts happening.
Yeah, because I think there's arguments for number 1 for each of these teams, honestly. And I truly have no idea where to rank them.
I will. Are we going 3, 2, 1, or do we just want to say number 1 pick?
Do we think there's a consensus 3?
I have my number 1. I mean, okay, my opinion doesn't really matter because I don't know that much. But I have an opinion for 1, but I don't know for 2 and 3.
Okay. Jack, do you have a specific team you think is 3?
I am kind of torn, but I do think I have a team that is strictly number 3.
Okay, who would that be for you?
I think it's Philly for 3.
Okay.
I was edging towards that too, but it was hard.
I think I'm inclined to agree. It's hard. I think for me, they're not as a extreme situation as Washington and Emerald. But I think other than Choco, Choco and Stan, of their main hitters, they're all off-rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially with Liam, when you look at the other 2 teams, you're putting Liam, who is, again, an amazing player, don't get me wrong, but he's a support player. You're putting a support player against a top 500 absolute unit in Baz. And then Minky, who is another absolute unit in Tank and can play everything under the sun. And I think that might get exposed a little bit, but their fragging power is just insane overall.
I think, like you said, I think it kind of comes down to that specific one-on-ones in terms of each role. And I look at that roster. I think Akashi can be a very good pickup, a very sneaky pickup. But when you look at that role comparison between them, like you just said, that tank one has the biggest gap for me and the biggest question marks to where I think that's where and why 3 comes up is because when you just bust it down to raw tank mechanics, I don't see it ending well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually might push back a little bit on the Akashi bit. Only because I think one of the reasons he was so dominant in Emerald was that he really was good at punishing people's positioning. And like he was really good at singling teams out, whereas up in Emerald that's gonna be a lot harder to do. And teams are a lot more coordinated and a lot better at peeling for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he will need to adjust his playstyle, and I think it's the best team for him to be on to do that, because I think it's on a macro sense the smartest team. So it'd be really interesting to see where he goes during the season, in my opinion, and see how he kind of like blends into the Emerald scene or the Ruby scene.
So now in terms of first and second, what do you guys think?
I personally am still torn. I
You
think
guys are both biased.
that too.
I actually put Houston above Pitt.
You do?
And
Okay.
now
I do too.
Bowser, I think when I go and talk to him next, will probably rip me a new one. Because
Well,
obviously, you know.
Bowser put Houston first as well, don't worry.
Okay, all right, well, then he can't talk. I think, you know, the point I made earlier that when I talked to Bowser, we saw the finalized Houston roster. I think the point that really stuck out to me is that lineup is off-rolling in certain degrees, yes, but I think it is really stuck to if push comes to shove and you're facing, you know, a 3-0, the teamwork and just the game, pure raw game talent will come through and just pull up the reverse sweep every time. You know, they'll get the 3-0s they need. I think that really will come through to see itself versus Pittsburgh, where I, you know, have a personal bias, I guess, of course, of like, you know, we're Pittsburgh. We are the champions. We're going to win again. I think that Houston is going to just run through. And I think, at the very least, going to be a great season for both teams. I think Houston takes the edge.
I mean, I do want to mention we do play week 1, so I will make sure we have a streamer for it.
I am so upset we can't cast.
I can see if we
cast your own games.
I can see if we can get Essel casting because they are one of our best casters. So, and I think they will enjoy it, and they are very good on talking in the macro sense. Also, just another aside, they have offered a coach. I'm gonna make a coach role and stuff in the server, so it'll be me and Essel at the moment. So we will help anyone who asks. I'm a free agent completely. Like I think I'm actually helping every single Emerald team. So
you're just gonna win Emerald no matter what.
Always offered, but Essel is a very, very good mind. So whoever gets some coaches from them would be very good. But back to the power ranking aspect of it, I actually think I might put Pittsburgh 1.
I'm okay with that.
Well, of course you are. Only because I think Ricochet and I being the DPS is a scary thing compared to having Adbon, who's a very, very dominant, really, really good DPS player. And like same going against Chocoman, but I think Baz can kind of pick up the slack a little bit more. Whereas against Pittsburgh, Baz will have his hands full with Minky. I do think Baz is better than Minky. Like I love Minky, don't get me wrong. Like Baz is borderline a tier 3 like player. So while Baz will have his hands full enough with Minky, I think that'll really free up Adbon to just kind of rain hell from above if he plays Pharah. And so that really comes down to Ricochet and I kind of picking up the slack and doing well. And personally, I don't play a lot of DPS, so maybe doing that a lot more in aim training and shit like that. So I think that's a very big unknown that I think can't just be pushed past by Baz just being insane. That makes sense.
I definitely agree. I obviously saw it firsthand last season, and just being in the same position that I am now of, low sal DPS, just trying to fit in. I've seen the legend himself, John Pork, come out and win fights single-handedly. I do think you raise a good point. Yourself and Ricochet having that off roll, being in this position of stuck between trying to help yourself, trying to help the sport, and trying to keep Baz in a position where it's not all, on him. Because as my DPS pool is not very wide. The characters that I play are very anti-tank. Like my Sombra Mei, not great into Baz's comfort picks of Winston, Ball, Junker, Queen.
Actually, I would disagree with that. No.
Really?
I think with the Sombra change, it really, I don't think goes well into Ball anymore. And I also think Mei, you need that other DPS to actually push out pressure. So I think it's actually kind of a weird one where if you're using those picks on Ball, you're kind of wasting your other resources. It just depends how you play. Obviously, it's not full. I never do that.
Right.
But I do think with the new Sombra change, because hacked targets don't get the damage buff anymore. So pretty much what you're doing is you're gonna have Ball hacked for not even a second, and then just run away. It's kind of
a distraction.
well, that's the thing. That's what Ball is I want to go into the back line, make everyone look at me, while my team kills your entire team because you're looking at the ball. That's how Chicago won their first Ruby season, because everyone was looking at the ball and spawns would just dominate on Widowmaker.
I don't know, man. That Kiriko on Chicago was pretty good.
No, it wasn't.
What do you mean?
Whoa! Some false information.
Yeah.
I'm speaking facts.
But yeah, so I think that it's going to be an interesting thing to see how people adapt to. Because I think it'll be a game 5, kind of who adapts
100%.
better.
I am excited to see as well. I'm not sure if you guys talked about it in Emerald, but Hardpoint is what it's called in Call of Duty. Flashpoint. Yes. Now that that's introduced, I think that gives teams a new out, even though it is, not showing up till the later parts of series. So
no, it isn't.
Back and forth.
It's the third map.
Oh, you're right. I'm thinking of Push's last. So yeah, that being that quick turnaround for some teams, I think it can it's that control point, psychology, where control is arguably the easiest game mode for teams to swing in their favor. I think that gives certain teams a breath of life to then snowball that into later parts of the series. And I'm very excited to see how teams go into it and plan and adapt around, especially on the fact that there's 2 maps for it.
Yeah, I think the other thing with Flashpoint that I've noticed in a lot of my games is it's very rotation heavy, like Hardpoint is on Call of Duty. So I've seen a lot of people just getting caught out in weird rotations and spawns being different, and it's a very macro game mode compared to a lot of the others, I would say. It takes a lot more strategy and it takes a lot more flexibility. And then on top of just being an absolute bloodbath at the same time. So I think it might be one of the most skilled game modes people will be playing this season, so it'll be really interesting to see kind of who gets on top and kind of who ends up being the Flashpoint team, because I know we're talking about it in the staff chat, but I think Washington never won a control map, but they were really good on push or whatever. And so if there can be a team that can win that swing map, especially in like the third spot every single time, that's a really, really dangerous team. So, I just want to recap. Mexico last, I got outvoted on that. Montreal fourth, Philadelphia third, Pittsburgh second, I got outvoted again, and Houston Flames first. Is that what we're settling on?
It sounds like it. I think
suppose so.
Okay.
Like 1 to 3 can be kind of rotated around.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think there is a clear top 3, and I'm not saying that Montreal and Mexico City can't go up there. Just we obviously don't have their full rosters done yet. So, that being said, I want to thank Jack for his time here, being our Ruby expert.
Expert is a strong word.
Well,
thank you for having me.
Ruby player, let's say. But now we will get the fun part of the night of doing the map rotations for the week. If you're not familiar, United Rogue Overwatch is on a fixed map schedule for every single game throughout the regular season, and then in playoffs, teams will get the higher seed will get the pick, and then it'll be loser picks afterwards. We do the map pool to just kind of have some rotation of maps. If a map is played week 1, it cannot be played week 2, and so on and so forth. We want to do this because we saw in the first season a lot of people were just playing Dorado, and that was not fun. It was literally every single Emerald game was just on Dorado, and it was just miserable to watch, and it wasn't fun. So having some variety and having teams actually get pushed in different metas and not be able to full on stay on comfort is a fun thing, in my opinion. So with that being said, I think we're going to start with control. Let me get the wheel up. Okay, there we go. The wheel of names of magic. And if this wants to go, there we go.
Magic.
Of magic, yes, it's very magical. And we got Oasis, it seems like. Yes, Oasis. So
I like Oasis.
Oasis is a very good map. It's a very interesting one as well, in terms of each point is very unique. Like, they have their own play styles. Pharah can be dominant on University, I think it's called. I don't remember. Pharah can be dominant on a few of them, but there's one. I think it's Gardens, actually. Sorry, it's Gardens. So it really allows for teams to kind of flex their flexibility, for lack of a better term, and kind of see who adapts to who, and honestly, who gets lucky on which maps go first, because again, you might not get to play the map you feel the most comfortable on.
Yep.
Is Panda still here? I know he wanted to talk about stuff. I don't think so.
I did want to talk
Oh,
about
you are
this,
here.
But yeah.
Did you want to talk about
yeah.
Oasis? Or
Oh yeah, no, Oasis I think overall is a great map. I think someone asked earlier like where certain Emerald teams will be better on certain maps. Honestly, with Emerald, I don't think it matters. I think we're all just bad everywhere. But Emerald players kind of known for trying to, be low ranks and like be as good as we can. Junkrat, great character. Oasis has some nice spots to just hide and just spam. So I think that would be a solid Emerald tier pick right there.
okay, and that being said, let's go and see. Was it? I forget. I think this is hybrid. Yeah, this is
hybrid, right?
This is hybrid. Yeah, I forget. So
Yeah,
this is why I'm not talking much.
Yeah. So we got the magical scrims row. We love scrims row, and as it might be the best map in the entirety of Overwatch. Very good for Ryan matchups. That's kind of
and Widow.
But I think it truly is one of the most famous, like, hey, this is just going to be a tank diff maps. I already see Andrew not being happy about King's Row because it is a Rhine map and not a Diva map. So, like, again, you have a lot of different comps you can make. You can do diving, you can do stuff like that, but a lot of long-range sights for Widow. I mean, Hanzo was also historically played on this map with the verticality as well. So, a lot of different things you can do on it, but I do just want to hammer home. It is very much a tank-centric map.
Yeah, I feel like I always get diffed on Widow on this map, I'm not gonna lie. Especially attack opening, everyone's always looking at you.
I don't
Get
think that's a
headshot
Widow thing.
immediately.
Or I don't think that's a King's Row thing, personally.
Damn.
I mean, it might just be me. I like playing Widow off start on attack, but
I'm taking
I think
notes.
I saw it in a TikTok like a year ago. I was like, oh dang, that's kind of cool, and then I've done that ever since.
And Andrew, I just want to mention, I bully everyone in the server. Do you think it's going to be different on here? No, I bully everyone equally. But that being said, let's go through payload next. It's not in order
Escort. Get the names right.
Whatever. There we go. Get it running if it wants to. There we go. It's delayed a bit. No Route 60. Oh, thank God. I hate Route 66 so much. It was scary for a second, but we do get some volley. Not a better map, honestly.
I don't like Shambali.
I don't like Shambali.
I can't push it. I just don't know. I can't push it. I don't know why.
But Shambali is a fun map for Widows. I think even more than King's Row, because as we're looking at this, the roofs of the buildings can be accessed by Widow. And there's a lot of really crazy sightlines you can do. As someone who played with the legendary Frost Anderson, he was an absolute rat on this map, finding the weirdest angles and just killing people before they could even see him. So it's a very long hallways, very long distance, and always in comp, it seems like if you are able to, one team will never be able to get past the first point, the other team will get at the third point every single time, so it's a very snowbally map, but I think an interesting one, especially for week 1.
Yeah,
Snowball is, you mean snow, right?
I'm gonna kick you from this.
What? There's snow.
That's not the point.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
At least for me personally, this is. It was hard to get used to this map at first, especially the second point here. As you can see, like kind of the end of that last clip. Going up the ramp is just brutal for attack. At least I think, especially if you get stuck, like halfway through.
It's one of those.
There's only really 2 ways to get up.
Yeah, it's one of those weird points.
Shot down either way.
Like I would say Eichenwald's second, where you pretty much have to change your entire comp the second you step in second point, because it's so drastically different from first that unless you have ults, you're not going to actually get any value by sticking on your same pick, so you pretty much have to switch your entire comp to try and actually hold those close quarters. And then even then, it's kind of a cat and mouse game, because if the one team doesn't do it, there's still those long angles you can hold and abuse. So it's a very interesting map on what teams do, especially in that second point transition, and also in the third, kind of switching back to the first point style. But I think we do the let's say push. I'm gonna do push.
Isn't Flashpoint next?
Flashpoint's technically third, so we're already out of order.
Lol.
But
Oops.
I mean, it doesn't
My
matter.
bad.
No, I did it out of order, just because that's just how I have it lined up. So I want to do push, because there's 3 maps at least, not just 2. I think they're all equally as bad. As one of the maybe not equally as bad maps gets pulled, New Queen Street. Only because it's Toronto, and I think Toronto's a very fun place. I think push is a bad game mode.
Honestly, in general, I think this is a really pretty map. When Overwatch 2 came out, I really enjoyed this whole area.
It feels like
Also,
it was. Oh, good.
The statue of the robot playing hockey, like, I don't know if there's a lot of hockey players or hockey fans around, but being around Dallas, where our owner is an avid hockey fan, like seeing that Omnic playing hockey is a nice little touch.
Oh, they've done a lot of good things, especially like overlooking like right behind that hockey player is like kind of the subway system of Toronto that is very true, and that also has that Toronto sign that is again very true to the city. So it makes a lot of sense. There's also an ice rink back there that you kind of missed. But it's a very
in the background here.
Yeah, it's a very pretty map. I think it's very symmetrical, which is nice for both teams to kind of actually like some of the maps for push kind of feel different on other sides. It's a nice symmetrical, it feels even all the way through. If you get to that first point, pushing second is extraordinarily difficult sometimes because that high ground can be really, really just overpowering for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And our host has not said a single thing during map selection other than a bad pun, so thank you.
Hey. I just don't like this map.
By the way.
I don't like push, and I especially don't like this map. And it's another snowball map. Wink, wink.
It's not.
But that's all I gotta say. I am not good at analyzing maps and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not even gonna. We're just gonna.
So let's move on. We're
gonna move on to Flashpoint, and we have magically 2 choices. Well, I wonder which one it'll be, and then I wonder which one will be week 2 because you can't play it the same week.
Yeah, we will not be.
So
be doing.
It'll be Saravasa this week. We will not have a wheel spin next week because it will just be New Junk City. But Saravasa
be sure to make it.
Is I think that much more close quarters. Actually, I don't even know. It's weird.
Flashpoint in general is just a weird thing. It's hard to conceptualize all the different points and being like focusing comps around it. Because I don't, at least in Emerald or like our ranks, like I don't see anyone that can actually really swap until they just get absolutely demolished.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those. You play what you're play what you're comfortable on, and if you have a Lucio, that's good. If not, you might be a little slower to points. But that being said, I do think this is going to be the most interesting map that we'll see. And since we are done, I do want to make some disclaimers. I will be trying to have all week 1 games streamed. Whether that happens or not is yet to be seen, especially because it is Halloween weekend.
Yes.
So we will try our best. Depends on people's availability, but we will try and get people streamed, and if not, we can get some point of view streams at least.
Yeah. And also, if anyone wants to help out with production, like streaming or casting, please go ahead and message the mod mail. We would really love to have some helpers there.
Please, I do not want to do every game of the season.
So Lank doesn't have to stream everything himself, especially when he's playing his own games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do want to thank Andrew because he already mentioned the help. So, but seriously, we always can use production people. We always can use casters as well. Even if you don't have casting experience, we'd love to have you. We had a few people. I think Shire was his first time actually casting Overwatch, and I don't know if it's casting in general.
Oh no.
Just Overwatch.
I'm just gonna say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have people who are new. We have some people who are experienced. So we all work you through it. It's no pressure. Just kind of having fun. Like it's not going to be a 1,000 person stream or anything. Like it's also just casting. You have fun. Like as someone who's
can even if you just know someone that's playing too, you could just make fun of them the whole time too.
Oh yeah, no, that was some of the best streams where we had. I believe it was Aizen and who was it? It was Aizen and someone else just absolutely roasting. It was Aizen and Boy Wonder roasting Emerald players. So
what match was that?
I believe it was one of the Utah matches.
Was it against my team in the first round?
No, maybe I don't remember. But it's always a good time. Like, so just sign up. It's always fun to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
like I said before, just message modmail to do that, please. So that way we have a clear, concise way of checking that as well.
Correct. And
yep.
I think
Is that
we're
it?
done. So, final thoughts, Panda.
I hope everyone plays their best. Please be kind to each other. Remember, this is all just a community league. But yeah, good luck out there for your first weeks.
Shiro, final thoughts.
I'm really excited for this season. I just want to have fun and win. And win.
Okay. Jack, I know you're muted. Final thoughts.
Pittsburgh, 2 times champion. We're gonna win. Dubs.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. If somehow you're on YouTube, how did you get this far? Thank you for all the. Oh, that is another thing. All the games will be on YouTube. I had that stuff set up last season. I think I can post the one. I can publish the ones that were done. I don't think I got everyone. But every single one that is streamed will be on YouTube the same or next day. So we won't lose anything. Because some of the Twitch VODs did obviously get into the ether. So that stuff will be in socials. I think we'll be doing more with that. So if anyone wants to help with socials, Mon Mail again. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
And have a wonderful night.